This podcast episode, I'm a little tipsy off of my favorite wine. I'm going to leave the link to it down below. I like it to be a little bit sweet, so if you're not a sweet tooth, then don't click that link. But if you are a sweet tooth, definitely check it out. It's really great. Like White Zinderful, like the pink one, so good. As I'm sitting here drinking my wine, I wanted to open up about being the villain. Being a motherfucking villain. Because that's what's trending now. Everyone wants to be a villain, literally. Where is this coming from? I feel some type of way that we have to feel like a villain just to stand in our truth and be ourselves and do what's best for us. Why do we have to be a villain to do what's best for us? Like, this should just be the standard. And something I'm realizing is that for most people, it's not. You know, most of us, we are given expectations and pressures and standards that we did not sign up for. And it's only up to you to decide what type of role that you will fill. Because everyone from every angle is going to tell you to do this, to do that, to do this, to do that. And if you can't kind of stop that in its tracks and really question if this is stuff that you want to be doing, then you're going to like end up living a life for everyone but yourself. And that's pretty miserable, if I'm going to be honest. And that's me speaking from experience. There's no one that's going to look out for you more than you. And if you're not looking out for you, if you're not putting your best interest in mind, then who will? I feel like for most, if not most, for some, we feel like the villain. We feel like the bad guy. We feel like bitchy or mean for putting ourselves first. Because something I've noticed, for me at least, sometimes when I'm making the best decision for me, sometimes when I'm making the decision that's right for me, there's always going to be someone that feels like that's a wrong decision because it's a wrong decision for them. So I may be like, you know, this whole relationship isn't working out for me, but to them it's like, so selfish. This is what I want it to be. It's like, no matter what decision you make, there's always going to be a pro and con to it. You have to do what's best for you, because there's always going to be someone opposing to it. I grew up and I was told so many different things, and I chose to just stop listening to it because I'm not a freaking character in a movie. I'm writing the script. And you can write your script too. Although most times my life does feel like a movie, it's really important that you make sure that you're the main character. You make sure that you grab that pen and paper and you write that story the way you want to. Because if not, instead of you choosing what's best for you and someone or maybe a whole group of people opposing of it, you're going to have a whole group of people, society, you're going to go by what they think is right as you're sitting on the sidelines not happy with your life. Which one would you rather have? I know it's scary and I know it's annoying and I know it's like a lot, but at the end of the day, which one is worth living? For you or for other people? And if you have to be the villain to do that, then so be it. I feel like if you are used to not being assertive, if you're used to putting other people's opinions and other people's feelings and other people's way of living before your own, it may be the only route to take is feeling like a villain because you're not used to doing what's best for you. You shouldn't feel like a villain. But if you need to, do that. But it should be the standard. You know, like if you had a child, or you probably have a child, do you want them living for you? Do you want them doing everything for you? Do you want them not being happy in life because they're trying to please you? If you don't want that for your future child or for your current child, then why the hell are you doing it to yourself? I personally feel like if you're married, this is my personal opinion, I feel like unless I'm married or unless I have a child, I'm allowed to be selfish. And that comes off as explaining that to some of my family. They were just like, you're gonna die alone. You're gonna die alone with your dog. No one's gonna want to marry you. It's like, don't be mad at the play, get mad at the game, man. Like, I'm gonna take this time and heal myself and put myself first. And if you're mad, be mad. Be mad. Because at the end of the day, everyone should take time and heal themselves and learn themselves and do what they want. It's like, as soon as you're fresh out the womb, you're taught how to live. And it's like, you don't even get to choose what family you grow up in. You don't even get to choose what parents you are conditioned by. Like, if you were born in a different family, you would think and act a completely different way. So why not question the way that you were brought up and really ask yourself if it's for you? If not, look into what is for you. There's like hundreds of different religions. Not trying to get into religion, but let me just add that in there a little bit for those of you who feel misaligned to your religion, who feel like they can't do what they want because of a religion, because they grew up in this religion. There's like 200 different religions. There's a lot. I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot of different religions. So being that you can't even control where you're born, you can't control what church your family takes you to, why not explore what works for you? And again, I know it's scary because it's still scary for me sometimes, laying my boundaries and being the villain, putting myself first and everything. But at the end of the day, what I think is truly scarier is living years and years and years, going through life and being an old person, wishing that you lived for yourself, and it being too late. You looking back at your life and realizing, oh yeah, I probably could have been that thing I wanted to be. I probably could have done those things that I was told I couldn't do if I just would have put myself first. Life is too short, That's all I'm saying. And I want this podcast episode to be for someone who's putting someone else's opinion, society's opinion, shit that doesn't matter at the end of the day, above what truly matters to you. You don't have to sacrifice to love. That's something that I learned in my journey of putting myself first. I have a lot of people that I've come across who feel like you have to sacrifice to love. Like, you have to sacrifice your peace, you have to sacrifice your own money, you have to sacrifice your own, boundaries. It's like, no, that's not the way I'm going to love. I'm going to respect other people's boundaries, and I'm going to expect them to respect my boundaries, and I'm going to make it clear what my standards are, and I'm going to ask them what their standards are. And it's like, there's no one way of living, It's like, if you're not happy in life, I'm not saying I'm like some doctor or anything, but there has been studies showing that legitimately some people who are depressed because they're not living for themselves. They're just living for someone else, and they feel so stuck and so sad because there's no hope, and it's because you're living life for someone else when it's yours. You don't have to. If you wanted to make the decision today to start living for you, let me tell you, all hell will break loose. But in the end, you'll end up in heaven. You'll end up in your own personal heaven when you put yourself first. And those that are meant to be in your life will come around or stay. But I'm going to be honest, most will leave. Most will be like, oh my God, you're so selfish, a villain, he's a bad guy, like so bitchy, like ugh. Because they're not used to you putting yourself first. I'm talking about your parents. I'm talking about your siblings. I'm talking about your closest friends. Will be the people that will react negatively and probably won't be able to handle it, but that's something that comes with change, and I truly feel like it's worth it in the end because it's so beautiful to feel that heaven, and you deserve that internal heaven. Heaven and hell is here on earth, in my opinion. Sure, there could be a heaven and hell that is out here after death and everything, but I truly feel like there is an internal hell and there is eternal heaven right here on earth. And based off the decisions that you make and the life that you're brought into is whether or not your life is heaven or hell. There are people that brought into amazing lives. They have wealthy parents. They have it made, but they're living in an eternal hell. And there are people that are in shitty situations and they don't have a lot of money and they're living in an eternal heaven. I truly feel like if you're listening to this right now, if you're resonating with this, you can choose what your experience is. You don't have to keep living this way that everyone is telling you that you need to live. And it's up to you to change that way that you're living, It's like, for me personally, this is like a random example. I don't drive at all. And I remember, as a teenager, as like all my friends, not even as a teenager, as soon as I turned 18, like as all my friends were getting their licenses, I was like, I don't want to drive. I want to live in a city, you know, like I want to be somewhere where I don't need to drive. Pedestrian paradise. And you know, I may change my mind in the long run, but right now it's like I'm living my heaven. As these gas prices are rising, my bus stop is right across the street from my apartment. I don't have to worry about jack diddly squat. Like, to go to work and back, it's like a 15-minute bus ride, completely free. The buses are free right now in my area. So it's like, if I were to have listened to all the people pressuring me to get a car and to drive, I would have had way more bills. I chose what was more important to me, was to get my own place so I can have peace and freedom to think freely and do things freely without being interrupted of my peace, and to be able to have boundaries and to put time into the things that I want to put time into without being violently interrupted by like family. As much as I love family, it was more of a priority for me to get my own place. And in the beginning, I felt like I was weird. I felt like, maybe I'm making the wrong decision because everyone's doing it this way. But at the end of the day, like, I knew which way I wanted to live, and I'm living this way, and I'm so happy living this way. And I see some people complaining about like how they're gonna get on the bus now, the gas prices are rising, and I just cannot imagine if I would have given to those social pressures. You know, I do want to get my license and I do want to drive, but I'm going to do that when I want to do that. There's so many pressures in society, and you really need to stand your ground and ask yourself truly if that's what you want to do. I honestly prefer to have a personal driver than to drive, and that's just me. And I did have a personal driver at one point, and it was really fun, and I was living my best life. No one understood it, but no one needed to understand it. I was living in my own eternal heaven. You know why? Because I didn't give a god dang flappity jacks if everyone over here was thinking I was stupid for not getting a car. If everyone over here was thinking, oh wow, she's wasting money. I don't give a flying flappity jacks, because what? Whose life is this? Your life? It's your life? That's why you're so concerned? No, it's my life. And some people won't get it, but they don't need to. And they'll think you're a villain. So be it.
Oh, I get it. They painted me out to be the bad guy. Well, it's the last time you're gonna see a bad guy do the rap game like me. They need rappers like me. They need rappers like me, so they can get on their fucking keyboards and make me the bad guy, Chung Lee.